What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. Not even 5 minutes ago was the brand new February 13th, 2023 ban list put into effect. And oh boy, I don't think a lot of us were expecting this, especially considering YCS Vegas is only 2 weeks away. We also have like several other YCSs that are right on the horizon that this list will in fact be in effect for. So do keep that in mind if you're planning on attending any regionals or YCSs coming up soon, that this list will be in effect very shortly, and this could possibly change a lot. Unfortunately, we already got to see two of the cards that are going to be banned here, which are Artifact Scythe and Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, which means this could be setting the precedent for this being an absolute massacre of a ban list, and of course, I'm going to be bringing to you my live reaction as always. So, I'm super pumped. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's first talk about Scythe. I mean, Scythe is a card that has been extremely problematic for years now, let's be completely honest. It does seem a little bit late, if I'm going to be honest, because, like, Scythe is something that people were crying out about, like, so long ago, and, like, when you look at the way the meta is shaping up currently, yes, there are some Scythe decks that are, like, on the peripheral of the format, but that's not, like, the main focus of the format. The main focus of the format is obviously, like, the tier decks, the cash decks, and everything like that, right? And so, Scythe is something that I'm happy, I think, and I think a lot of people are happy that this card was dealt with, and Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, I mean, if we're talking about cards that don't allow you to play the game, fuck this card. I mean, all the Flu players who are playing this just as a way to just automatically win the game, it's one of their strongest win conditions, and now without it, can you still play Flu? Absolutely, but now you don't have your free auto-win with the Barrier Statue, and if this is the precedent they're setting, I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff on this list. I have not seen it yet. This is the first thing I saw that came when I clicked on the link. So, all right. Let's continue on down. Let's see what else. It's going to be interesting because a lot of people were thinking that like full power tier is what they're going to have to contend with for the next few YCSs. That may not necessarily be the case, and I would be shocked if there are not several hits to that deck here because debatably tier in the TCG is stronger than it was in the OCG right now, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I'm going to go down slowly here, see what else is in the ban section. Wow, we're almost out of the monsters already. Okay, Kikkalos is banned. Okay, well, for anyone looking to play tier, Kikkalos is gone. I think it took one ban list in the OCG. No, I think it was like one ban list, they did a bunch of hits, and then I think the second hit of wave of hits to tier is when they banned Kikkalos. So it's already banned in the OCG. But funny enough, this doesn't stop Tearlament from being like one of the strongest decks in the format. Tier is still like the best deck in the OCG, even with Kikkalos banned. So with this ban, that's hilarious, let's be honest. But at the same time, this is still going to be an extremely powerful deck that people have to contend with because everything else that the deck does is insane, right? Kikkalos was a strong focal point of the deck, but it isn't the end-all be-all for the deck, right? But that's very funny. So again, anyone looking to like play tier in any capacity and was like banking on Kikkalos being legal, it's not legal anymore, so that's something you're gonna have to deal with. I don't think we're gonna get like any like Kashtira preemptive hits because that wouldn't make sense because they want to obviously sell the new Kashtira cards, but we'll have to see. Kikkalos ban. I'm not surprised to see this on here, but I guess I'm surprised like with the timing of everything that they're giving people to prepare for these tournaments. But if they didn't do it now, when would they do it, right? I feel like there's like YCSs every single weekend for the next like month and a half. So, all right, Kikkalos is gone. I'm sure anyone who has been hating the meta currently will be happy to see that, but Tearlament's not going anywhere, so that doesn't really change a whole lot. Let's see what else we got here as we scroll on down. God, look how many Link monsters are banned. And speaking of which, there is another one added to the list. I swear I have not seen this list. Spright Elf is now banned. This is fascinating because obviously Sprite's still a very strong deck, but other decks besides Spright are using this. Tearlament's using this because obviously Merly's a level 2, and there's a lot of advantages with Spright that you can, with Spright Elf that Tearlament can take advantage of. Just the targeting protection, all that fun. But this is actually almost like a bigger hit to Spright specifically than it is to Tearlament. And it's not like Spright was the best deck of the format or anything. I mean, it's arguably like what, like the third, fourth, fifth best deck. I mean, it's definitely not first or second. I would say that for sure. So seeing this gone, I don't know, like, I mean, Spright Elf is an incredibly powerful card, but is this something that people were expecting to really see hit? I forget what Elf is at in the OCG. Is it limited? Is it even hit in the OCG now that I think about it? Just a very strange one considering like the way that the format is shaping up at the moment. I can see an argument for it because this card is incredibly powerful, but like when I think of like the best decks of the format, I don't really think of like Spright Elf necessarily being the card that is like the reason for these decks being as powerful as they are. Unless it's in the context of Spright, right? I mean, there is some like bullshit you can do with Spright with this, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of limited compared to what the other decks are doing. So yeah, okay, sure. Man, this is going to be fun to shake up the format. We're not even at the limits yet. Isn't that exciting? Let's keep scrolling down. Let's see what else, if anything else is even on here. We still have to get to the spells and traps. Jesus. Okay, slowly making our way down. Okay, no spells. I just thought of something. Oh, thank God. Okay. This should be the first thing I just check every single time I open a ban list. Okay, good. We're safe. I don't want to be surprised later. So that's it for the bans. Spright Elf, Kit Kalos, Barrier Statue, Scythe. Not bad. Like, there's no Kashtira hits, but again, like, I wouldn't expect that because with Photon Hypernova coming out, they want to sell that, so that makes sense. They basically hit, like, what are debatably the top decks at the moment, but the format is sort of, like, in flux right now, because like, yeah, there's like the solidified top decks, but there's a lot of talk going around of like all these other different strategies that could be possible contenders. So it's gonna make this upcoming format a lot more interesting now that we have a new ban listing effect as well. But no other bans. I'm really curious to see how the limits are going to affect this as well. And Agido, the Ancient Sentinel, is now limited. I'm sure we're going to be seeing several of the good old Ishizu cards on here because I'd be surprised if we didn't. I believe there are a couple of them that are also limited in the OCG as well. So again, just following suit there, if that makes sense. Agido allowing you to just get those mills is absolutely ridiculous. And the +1 that Agido can get you when you get the ability to summon as well can sometimes get out of hand. And so this is going to limit just how consistent the mills from tier can possibly be. But like in the OCG, some people are still just playing the 1 because it's really good. And some people, it even got to the point where they even just started cutting the millers and they were only playing the shufflers being Keldo and Mudora. So, I mean, the decks could even just shift in that direction and that might just totally fine. But wait to see what, if any of those are hit, which we'll see here momentarily. Kelbeck and Keldo, there we are. Speak of the devil. Okay. So I'm guessing, I kind of want to move down to see if Mudora's here as well. They just limited every single one of the Ishizu cards. Oh my God. So in the OCG, if I recall, I think they only limited Keldo and Agido, and I think Mudora was still at 3, and Kelbeck was still at 3, if my memory serves correctly. So limiting each of them to 1 is actually quite fascinating because now with only 1 shuffler apiece for a Ishizu tier, that's a pretty significant hit to that deck's consistency in that regard, but also hitting your millers as well. That reduces the consistency of being able to always hit on your mills, so then you can't like mill 10 all the time. Again, I think Ishizu tier will definitely still play these cards. It got to the point with the way Tearlament looks in the OCG, where like they were just like only playing the minimum amount of Ishizu cards, and it was still the best deck. So while these limits look good, in addition to the Kit Kalos ban, it still may not even be enough to stop it from being the best deck in the format. That's the terrifying part of how strong Tearlament is. We'll have to see what other hits there are. I wouldn't be surprised to see a hit to the field spell as well, Paralino, but we'll have to see once we get down there. I'm not surprised to see them hitting all of them, but I'm kind of shocked that they did. I was expecting maybe like a couple of them to get limited like they did in the OCG, but I think this is going to significantly hurt the deck's ability just to be able to mill as well as interrupt the opponent. 1 shuffler apiece is not a lot of interaction, so that's definitely going to bring the deck definitely down a bit in terms of its viability, but we'll have to see. And oh, Jesus Christ, we might have a massacre on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen. I was not expecting to see all 3 Tearlament names in the limited section. Havness, Merly, and Sheeran are all limited to... Okay, let's think about this, ladies and gentlemen. You went from having 3 of each of these cards in your deck down to 1. This just slashed the deck from 21 cards down to 7. And you know, the sad part is, like, I feel like the deck might still be playable. That's the scary part about all of this, but holy shit. So in the OCG, I'm pretty sure at one point, like, Havness was semi'd, but I think on the most recent ban list, they even started hitting these as well. And this is just like how ridiculous this is getting. I mean, like, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. And we haven't gotten, I will not be surprised if the field spell is limited on here as well. I will not be shocked. And with all the Kashtira support coming out, you can compensate for the fact that this deck just lost 14 cards and its main fusion monster being banned. Like, that's very doable to make up, but holy shit. Any players looking to play tier in the next 2 weeks, I am sorry that you have to deal with this, because this is a disaster. Let's see what else. Okay. So Ancient Fairy Dragon is limited once again, and this is effective March 10th, 2023. So this is because they are probably going to be reprinting Ancient Fairy Dragon. If you're not aware of this, in the OCG, they actually reprinted it with an errata, as a matter of fact, which is an errata that makes it playable again, but it's not nearly as broken as it was pre-errata, right? So this, I imagine it's getting the reprint around this time. I'm not sure if this was already announced to be coming in the TCG, but if not, I mean, this basically just confirms that it is. But here we are, Ancient Fairy Dragon coming back. Does that matter? Not really. I don't think there was like any decks really taking advantage of this, but TCG loves combo. We don't have Max C, and we were loving taking advantage of Ancient Fairy Dragon when it was legal, so I won't be surprised if some people find a way to take full advantage of this as well. But moving down to the spells, like I said, I will not be surprised to see the Tearlament field spell in here as well being limited, because if they're already on this war path of hitting everything else, like, what's to stop them from hitting Paralino as well? Oh. Never mind. They didn't hit. I guess it's weird, right? If they hit all of these to 1, like, do you need to hit the field spell? I might as well just go through. Okay, yeah. So that's it for the limits. Okay. I mean, I guess they could have just followed through and limited the field spell too, but, like, Jesus Christ. All Tearlament hits in the limited section. Okay. And then Ancient Fairy Dragon comes back. Like, whatever. Rip tier, I guess. Rip tier. Okay, let's see what we get in the semi-limits. Please just get rid of this fucking list already. It looks like it is exactly the same. Weren't these like the only 2 cards that were semi-limited? 3, sorry, Desires. Why is Desires here? Just, like, put these both to 3. Like, this is fine. Mally, like, is the only card that could arguably stay here, but whatever. No longer on the list. Destrudo. I'm just gonna go through the whole. Holy shit, this is a lot of cards, actually. So, Destrudo is no longer on here. Jet Synchron, Mecha Phantom Beast Lion, Servant of Endymion, True King Lithosygem, Yada, which makes sense because, like, no one was playing it, and Spiral Resort. Interesting. Okay, so a lot to talk about here. Most of these cards, these 3 in particular, this was because they paid for the sins of Crystron Halki Fibrax, but now the Halki Fibrax is banned. These can come off. These are obviously incredibly powerful enablers, but without Halk, they're not like 1-card Halks, which is what was like the reason all these tuners were getting hit in the first place. Pretty strong cards, though, so I mean, like, there could be some, like, spam decks that may still want to play these and incorporate them as part of their combos, especially if they have, like, effects that mill. Also, like, I mean, like, Chaos Ruler's gone as well, so we're losing a lot of, like, the mill cards that would, like, you know, get stuff like this into the graveyard naturally. So that's perfectly fine. Servant of Endymion being limited as long as it was is kind of funny, but now it's back. Lithosygem, you know, you True King Dino players can rejoice that this card is back. I don't know if, like, that's going to be enough for people to want to play Dino again, but it's hilarious. Maybe with that new Dino set coming out, like, several months into the future that we just got the new news regarding, like, maybe that would be motivation for people to want to play with this, but, I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's fine. Yada going to 3, no one was playing it at 1, like, let's be honest, and honestly, like, we're just at a point in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now where Yada's just not very good, so this can go to 3. I honestly think this, maybe paired with, like, Lithosygem, might be the most interesting change on the Unlimits, just because, like, Spiral's obviously past its prime, right? And it's gone through, like, multiple iterations. It had, like, the first wave of support, and then we had, like, the Magician's Souls version, which was even more crazy. But having this, Master Plan's still banned, isn't it? Yeah. Master Plan's banned. All right, this doesn't matter in the slightest then. It's cool that this is back, but like with Master Plan gone, that was like the heart and soul of the deck. I guess you could like maybe try to play some like Go Second Spiral deck, but there's like 5,000 other decks you could probably play over this. As long as Master Plan's banned, I don't expect this to do a whole lot, but as a former Spiral player, I'm happy to see that it is back. So overall thoughts, Tier definitely got shafted, but we also put some of the other decks in check as well by also like simultaneously hitting some like unfun cards like Scythe and the like. It still sucks that there are some of like these like specific floodgate type cards that still exist in the game, but like at the same time, it's interesting. They're definitely paving the way for like Tearlament Kashtira or like Kashtira generally just to be like the frontrunner deck of the format. And obviously, you know, using the ban list as a marketing tool, that is obviously like the main intention from the competitive perspective. It's going to be interesting to see how Tearlament players are going to adapt the decks with so little time, because there's only, this list goes into effect in the following week, right? So they're going to have to figure out within 2 weeks, with YCS Vegas being the first event where this list will be legal, they're going to have to figure out how to adjust their strategy accordingly. Obviously looking to the OCG and the fact that the Kashtira Tearlament decks are basically still playable, but I don't think I don't know if they're this neutered by comparison. I'm going to have to double check and see, but I mean, Tearlament Kashtira still seems like it's an option. I mean, we'll see, obviously. We still have 3 field spell. 3 field spells actually quite important because that's also disruption as well as consistency. But we'll see. Kashtira is like obviously completely unfazed on this list. Flu is still playable, but you just don't have the barrier statue stuff, so you just have to play it like a slightly different variant of that. And then every other deck that's like still in the format that like wasn't really able to compete because of how strong Ishizu Tearlament was. This is a slaughter, though. I feel like we haven't seen, like, one deck take this many hits on a ban list in ages. And so, that was kind of fun. That was fun to see that. I'm excited. I'm curious, though, to hear what you guys have to think. So let me know down in the comments, but down below, what your thoughts are on this list. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you wish there were certain cards that did get hit? Were you happy with some things that didn't get hit? Be sure to let me know. So thank you all so much for watching the video. I will be at YCS Las Vegas, so if you guys are going to be there, be sure to say hi, and we will see you next time.